Hello everyone, I'm Major Jip, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the LEOBOG K23 mechanical keyboard. Now, ordinarily I wouldn't really take a look at a keyboard, but this one has something special, and that something special is the fact that it cost me $14.99 free shipping on Amazon. I actually ordered it on the 19th and today's the 20th, so I actually got here very quick. This is an 87 key. It's supposed to have red type keys. I guess it's going to be a clone of the Cherry MX red keys. And it's a wired mechanical keyboard, not backlit, which I'm not too surprised considering the price point. And it's rated 60 million times of click. Never wear laser engraved caps. 26 key anti-ghosting, which who knows if that's actually on here. And customized mechanical switches. Are they even going to have a name on them? That's what I'm curious about. Now, I am nowhere near a keyboard authority, which is why I tend to not really look too much into reviewing keyboards. Because most of them, there's all kinds of videos and stuff of people comparing. I don't see anything about the K23, though, so let me start out by saying the main keyboards I use, for the two computers I have up here, I'm using the Red Dragon, I think they are K552, which are the full layout keyboard with the numpad and everything. And these are running clone Cherry MX blue switches, which tends to be what I prefer over the standard Cherry Reds. But then again, my main keyboard that I use in the house is a Unicomp Model M replacement keyboard, which Unicomp went and made the Model M's. They still use the buckling spring keyboards and the metal backplates and stuff. This is my daily driver. These I use on my separate PCs that I have in the garage here. And interestingly, these, even though I have two of the same model Red Dragon keyboards, one of them runs Greetech switches, and one of them runs, I think it's Altemu switches, which I guess they just use whatever is easily available. And yeah, the Greetech does have a little bit more of a clunk when it goes down than the Altemu. But what I'm curious about is what key switches this is going to be running. So we're going on 2.5 minutes. Let's open it up. Let me point out, this has a really nice packaging for a $15 keyboard. Very understated. And then they have just the specifications in the back. It takes 10 milliamps from the USB, 87K. Yeah, we saw all that. And I need to grab something to break this seal with, because, of course, I forgot to bring a knife. That's not going to work. Oh, well, there we go. Hey, you didn't even see that. Okay, even better. Failure of opening the package. Oh, you need to open both sides and that. Yeah, I didn't really look at this at all, because I just got this in the mail, and I'm so intrigued to see what it's going to be like. The reviews on Amazon are very mixed. Some people say it works flawlessly, some people say half the keys don't work, so it's really hard to tell. Alright, so we got a nice thick USB cable terminated in a USB 2.0 end, which looks like it has some kind of gold plating on it, which is surprising for this price point. What else do we have? We have a little manual. Oh, and a key puller. Well, that's nice. I mean, I have a couple of them already, but it's always good to have a spare one. And okay, they do have English. Okay, I'm not going to read through all that. I was trying to do a quick glance to see if there's any interesting English. Okay, so it's all nicely wrapped. The space bar's off. Wow. Okay. Where's the other? Okay, I got the second spring for the space bar. I was just about to say it's all nicely packed and safe, but apparently not safe enough to hold the spacebar in place. And oddly, this plastic here is all discolored. It's not clear like it should be. How do the other keys feel? Yeah, that does feel kind of like the red. That's kind of why I don't care for the reds too much, because they have a lot of travel, but they don't have much resistance back. I don't actually have a red keyboard to compare it to. They do jump up a whole lot quicker than, like, say, a membrane keyboard would. Okay, the spacebar being off is interesting. Not something I entirely expected. Let me see if I can pop that back on with ease. So it lines up with those two parts there. Oh, well, that went in no problem. That's nice. That must have just popped out during transit. You see all these marks and stuff in the plastic, and I think those are actual production marks because they don't seem to be coming off, and they're not like wet or anything. Keyboard doesn't have much flex to it, which is amazing. It's got little rubber feet not rubber, plastic feet that come down, give you a slightly better. Weird font they have going on, where the Q kind of looks like a D. Autofocus, yes. Yeah, also kind of looks like a page or something. I don't really care too much for the font. It does seem to have a couple of ports through it. So I guess if you did spill water on it, actually, yeah, it's got one there and one there. Okay, let me hook this up to a computer before I continue just wasting time. I'll be right back. Okay, so I hooked it into the computer. Windows 10 recognized it as a keyboard and installed it, as you'd imagine, and it's pretty much all set to go. The one thing I noticed, the num here apparently doesn't have an LED behind it, because the keyboard that is behind this, which is actually one of the red dragons, whether I turn the num lock on or off, it doesn't turn that light on. And usually if you have another keyboard attached, that would turn on the num, but considering this doesn't have a number pad and it's not meant to be used with another keyboard, that's not too surprising. Caps lock does have a light behind it. Scroll lock does have a light behind it. And the Win, I don't know what that light's for. It's not when you hit the Windows key. I'm sure there's some other thing that's for, and I just haven't figured it out. So, let me change angle, point to the screen so you can see, I don't know, typing. Okay, so let me just start typing. I don't think I needed those exclamation points, but why not? Yeah, typing feel isn't bad. It's pretty much, you know, the same size and everything as a standard keyboard, just doesn't have the numeric pad at the end. So it doesn't throw me off like the, you know, smaller, like the 80-90% keyboards where they shrink all the keys down. The one thing I don't like is the combination, the way the enter key is, because it's one of the enter keys that fills up 2 lines, and I can never get used to that. I always end up hitting that instead. But, you know, this isn't exactly going to be my daily driver, so I can get away with that. And for $15, I guess beggars can't be choosers. You're going to get what you get. And, yeah, they did show that in the listing, so I knew what I was getting myself into. So, one more thing. Let's take a key puller. Let me just disconnect this from the computer. And let's pull a key and see what branding it has on it. Let me see if the camera can see anything. I kind of can't. Let me get that under the light. Okay, let me get back once I can read that. Okay, so apparently this is running KRGD switches, or at least that's what I saw on here. And I looked online, I see a couple other people did reviews on keyboards that are running like the blue variant of them. And not much is known about them other than they're just a cheap Chinese knockoff of a Cherry MX keys. So, that's not too surprising. Overall, I've been using this, for the last few minutes, and it actually does type pretty nicely. I'm not too unhappy with it. I'm really amazed, actually, that they can make a keyboard with some semblance of a mechanical key switch for $15 delivered anywhere in the United States from the Amazon warehouse. I mean, where are they making their money? Who knows? So I think the next thing I'm going to do is, what is holding this together? Phillips screws. I'm going to pop this back cover off, because I'm just curious how all the switches are mounted and everything. And I mean, what is there to lose? It's a $15 keyboard. So let me take those screws out and I'll be back. Okay, so I got the thing apart, as you could probably tell. And, yeah, it took quite a bit of effort, actually. So, it was actually set up. This is sitting on top of the keys, and this is sitting on top of that. So I took off all the screws. Then it still didn't want to budge. So I took all the keys out. Still didn't want to budge. I looked for hidden screws. I didn't see any. Till eventually, I just decided to pull it from the top with some force, and the entire thing popped off. And you can see the entire bottom of it is all just clipped on to those clips here, on the bottom part here. So you pull a plastic piece off, and I was very, very surprised by this. All the switches are mounted on a very thick metal backplate. For a $15 keyboard, I actually figured it was going to be mounted onto like a, plastic or something. I'm really amazed they have a metal backplate. And I suppose this provides ability to customize if you were so inclined, and swap out all these reds for blues or something like that. Because if you flip it over, you'll see all the switches are just soldered right onto place. And it's got the USB coming directly on. This is the main circuit board. Interestingly, it does have an LED behind the win. So I'll have to find out what that's for. And has nothing behind num locks. That would explain it. But that probably means that this circuit board can support a number pad. I don't know. I'm very amazed at this for $15, if you can't tell. It's actually a pretty decently made little keyboard. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the reds, because they're more linear. I prefer to have a more tactile feel. Well, I prefer to feel it when it clicks in. And you don't get that with the reds because they're more linear. They don't have a click. They just kind of glide along. But for $15, I can't really complain about this. I mean, if you're looking for a keyboard without a numpad, and if it's this versus the mechanical feeling membrane keyboards, and this thing's much better than any membrane I've used. Well, for the most part. Some of the keys feel like they do take a little bit more pressure. I mean, it's not perfect, but for $15 you can't complain. So hopefully this review will help someone, or you'll find it interesting, or anything like that. Leave a comment down in the comments, and whatever you want to do. Just a little addendum, because I noticed I didn't show the actual thickness of the metal plate. So here it is compared to the thickness of the circuit board, and that's not a lip. So that's the actual thickness of the metal. And you can probably tell that is actually decently thick, much thicker than I would have expected. So anyway, Major Jip out.